Step right up. Climb aboard. The caravan is waiting.
Hush thee, hush, the blood rain sings. Mother drinks the years you bring, under floor and under door. 2 taps, 1 child, 1 more. Cradle carved of stone and bone. Tears red water calls you home. Whispered names in iron rhyme. Drink and sleep, the well keeps time.
Dare, water, diner. The morning the stewards left Connecticut was loud with small chaos. 6-year-old Emma Stewart hunted for Tulip, her unicorn, under couch cushions. 10-year-old Noah Stewart tore through drawers for his drawing journal. David Stewart shouldered the last duffel and called,
"Let's go, Susan."
Then softer,
"Front door locked? Stove off?"
"Locked and off."
Susan Stewart said.
"Ready, kiddos?"
David said, catching their little faces in the rear view as he swung the door closed. Snacks jammed in cup holders, Tulip wedged by Emma's window. Outside, a single sprinkler stitched the air. Inside, Susan put a hand on her belly, the secret between them riding quiet. They pulled away. They were starting a cross-country road trip. Little did they know the road had already chosen a town that wasn't on any map. 3 days later, the silver Chevy Venture already felt lived in. DVD droning in back, CDs swapped in the dash, MapQuest printouts frayed soft at the folds. Tennessee's sky bruised over. By Alabama, the rain hit like nails. David's knuckles went white on the wheel. The dash GPS gave a wet little cough and said it like a verdict.
"Signal lost."
Again and again.
"Stupid back roads."
David cursed.
"Mommy, are we lost?"
Emma whined.
"No, sweetheart. Close your eyes and rest."
Susan said calmly. But her palms were slick with sweat. Susan reached over and turned the volume down. David's jaw flexed.
"Just pull off if you see somewhere,"
she said.
"The kids need to eat anyway."
They took an exit marked Old Dare Road, the sign so worn the letters barely held together. Below it, someone had scrawled in red marker, "Last stop for the little ones." The road narrowed until it wasn't much more than a seam of tar between black woods. Pines leaned over them like eavesdroppers. The rain slackened into a mist, but the world looked bleached, like a photograph left too long in the sun. Fog crawled out of the underbrush, thick and low, rolling over the road like it had purpose. Then, as if appearing like a magic trick out of thin air, was a rusted sign nailed to a tree. It read, "Dare Town," in peeling red paint. Beneath it, someone had scratched into the wood, ragged and shallow, like with a fingernail. "Children, welcome," Noah piped up from the back seat.
"I'm hungry."
"Me too."
Emma said. Susan scanned the roadside.
"If we find a gas station, we'll stop. Okay, sweethearts?"
David muttered under his breath.
"God damn it."
Susan flipped open her phone. The tiny screen stayed stuck on searching.
"No bars."
She said.
"You?"
David checked his old Nokia, the antenna icon blinking.
"Nothing."
He snapped it shut, jaw tight. Damp air pushed in through the vents, sour. Like a spoiled milk tang he could taste. 5 minutes later, the woods broke open. Houses appeared, crouched low like animals that had been beaten into submission. The yards were mud, no grass. Toys, bikes with warped tires, dolls with gouged eyes, plastic horses tipped sideways, scattered everywhere. Then the road spilled into the town itself, Dare Town. They drove slow. The houses sagged inward, porches bent like broken ribs. Most had rocking horses or tricycles half swallowed by weeds. Dolls sat propped on stoops, their painted eyes scoured blank by rain and sun. One porch held a tea party, 4 teddy bears arranged around a plastic table, each with a cracked teacup in front of them. Their fur was matted with mildew. One bear's head had split down the middle. Its stuffing exploded from the skull like pale worms. Another slumped sideways, an eye dangling from its socket by an unraveling thread of cotton. The wind dragged a paper pinwheel in slow, sickly circles. Susan shifted in her seat.
I don't like this, David. It's too quiet.
Jesus.
He muttered, eyes scanning the road. He reached over without looking and placed a hand on hers, the one resting on her stomach.
We'll be fine.
He said.
We just need to eat and get back on the highway. That's all. Fill up our bellies, and hopefully this rain passes.
Cars rusted into the earth sat in every driveway. Fords with split hoods, Plymouths with white-wall tires, chewed down to steel. David noticed how every house had a wooden nameplate above the door, burnt in cursive. Our Princess Miranda, Tiny Tucker, Cute Little Betsy, children's names. The diner sat at the end of the street like a smiling mouth, too wide and too still. Dare Water Diner, the name curled in pink neon above the entrance. Every letter was lit. The steady D-A-R-E burned clean, and only the D-I and E in diner flickered in a jittery rhythm, so that for a blink, the sign seemed to scream, "Die," before snapping back. The sign buzzed low, constant, like a trapped fly's wings. Susan's mouth tightened.
What the fuck?
She murmured so the kids wouldn't hear. Susan squinted up at the letters.
Diner?
She said.
Is that a typo?
Local pun,
David said. The building itself was old but scrubbed. Tile facade, steel trim polished to a shine, like it had just stepped out of 1929 and never aged a day. Its windows were fogged from the inside. Behind the glass, silhouettes moved slowly. A rusty child's tricycle leaned against the brick wall outside, next to a porch swing. A stuffed rabbit, its fur stained brown, one plastic eye melted into its cheek, sat on the seat of the tricycle. Susan shifted beside him.
Maybe we should find another place,
she said quietly. David glanced down at the gas gauge. The needle hung just above the red line, almost mockingly. The warning light hadn't come on, yet.
We'll be fine,
he said.
Let's eat, gas up, and find somewhere else to sleep for the night. Get back on the road extra early tomorrow.
Rain hammered the awning as David eased the venture to the curb. He cut the engine, pocketed the keys, and held the door while Susan hustled the kids across the puddled sidewalk. A brass bell jangled as they stepped into the diner. A bright, brittle titter that lingered a beat too long, like a nursery giggle strangled into a cough. Inside, the air was too warm. Checkerboard tile, red vinyl booths, chrome details so polished they hurt to look at. A jukebox played something from another century. Laughter filtered from the kitchen, soft, strange, like a party you weren't invited to.
Welcome.
The waitress was a porcelain doll, come to life. Miss Lottie. She wore a sky blue uniform with a stiff collar, white apron, and a heart-shaped locket around her neck. Up close, she smelled faintly of rose water. Her lipstick bled into the creases around her mouth when she smiled. Her hands were powdered dry and cool, nails trimmed to little crescents, cuticles rimmed a bruised red. Her eyes didn't blink enough, and when they did, both lids closed a fraction out of sync, like a doll coming to life and getting a hang of being real.
You folks must be road tired. Sit wherever you like. We've got meatloaf on special. And fresh pie.
She handed over menus with shaking hands. No prices. David lifted a hand.
Mind if we use your phone? Our cells aren't getting a signal.
Miss Lottie's smile didn't change.
Storm done knocked the lines dead, honey. Switchboard's been sulking since noon. You write your number down, we'll ring you if she wakes.
Emma squeezed Tulip and let out a tiny giggle. Every fork paused in midair, necks tilting to the same notch, like a string had been threaded through their spines and tugged. A man in the bolo tie smiled. No teeth, gums the color of raw liver. The woman with the pearl hearing aids, eyes narrowed into gun points. Behind the pass, the cook's silhouette froze against the swinging door as if someone had pinned it there. The water arrived first. The glasses fogged over as if shy. Inside, liquid that shimmered like it was holding a secret. Susan sniffed hers. David took a sip, metallic. Emma pushed hers away.
Tastes like Grandma's faucet.
Miss Lottie giggled.
That's the Dare water, good for the soul, all natural, not that treated, chlorinated cancer juice the government wants folks drinking. Ours comes straight up from Mother's well.
She tapped her locket.
She keeps it sweet.
Noah whispered.
I don't want to eat here.
David didn't either. But the storm outside was louder, meaner. The food arrived fast. The kids' meals came on pastel-divided trays. Emma's grilled cheese triangles with crinkle fries. Noah's small burger with a paper flag stuck in the bun. The fries were pale and damp. The ketchup smile on Emma's tray slowly uncurled into a straight line. David's roast bled when he cut it. Blood wept out like it had been waiting. Then the slice bucked. Once, twice, under his fork. Thud, thud, like a little heart keeping lousy time on the plate. He nudged Susan with his knee. She didn't look up. One hand rested on her belly. The other teased through her salad with the fork.
Christ,
he muttered. They had all picked at their food, barely eating it. David raised a finger, getting the waitress's attention who was behind the counter, staring with a plastic-looking smile. Miss Lottie leaned in, her smile stretched like taffy.
Something sweet for the little ones? We love children here.
Noah flinched. David stood.
Just the check, please.
No check,
said Lottie.
just family.
Inside the van, the air had turned thick. Emma whined first.
I'm still hungry.
Noah added.
This place is creepy.
Susan twisted in her seat, shushing them. She turned to David.
That food was wrong. Let's just keep driving.
Don't gotta tell me twice. Let's beat it.
David turned the key. The engine coughed, stuttered. The Venture's dome light flickered once and died. He tried again, harder this time. Click, click, nothing.
Christ!
He slammed the heel of his palm against the wheel. The kids flinched in the back seat. Susan stared at him.
Don't.
Susan said.
Not in front of them.
David opened the door and stepped out, fists clenched. That's when the man appeared, like he'd been waiting, jaw like a shovel, eyes like gravel, greasy coveralls. No expression.
Got a garage down the street,
He said.
I'll fix her up. Y'all can stay here tonight. Upstairs rooms are clean.
David shook his head.
No thanks.
The man smiled then, slow, empty.
Ain't asking.
Clem's hand flicked. The keys were suddenly his. He didn't yank, just took, like a man who'd done it before.
Rooms are this way,
He said, already turning. Miss Lottie waited under the awning with a brass key on a floral fob, and that same patient smile.
Storm's fixin' to sit.
She said.
Best get the little ones upstairs. I'll take our darling's luggage.
They crossed beneath the neon and into a narrow stairwell beside the kitchen. Each tread gave a damp little groan. At the top, Lottie shouldered open a door, then slipped past them and set the children's bags inside. She pressed the brass key into David's palm.
Sheets are clean.
She said softly.
If you need anything, just holler. I'll be downstairs.
She pulled the door. It clicked once. Her footsteps faded back down the stairs. The room smelled of mothballs and something older, the sweet, shut-in breath of a tomb. The wallpaper peeled in long, curling shrouds. 2 narrow beds were crouched inside. Emma climbed onto the bed under the window, tucking Tulip beneath her chin. Noah sat beside her with his sketchbook on his knees. Susan took the bed nearest the door. David went to the window. Carved into the wooden headboard were the names Silly Sally, Jokester Josh, Pretty Penelope, Brave Benny, Angel Annie, Good Boy, Gabe, Little Lula. Susan's hands flew to her stomach.
David!
He was beside her in 2 steps. He read the names, felt something small and cold settle under his ribs.
We don't split up,
He said. Susan nodded, jaw tight. Then David pried a loose wooden slat out of the bed frame, tested its weight, and bobbed his head side to side, thinking it would have to do. He slid it back under the mattress within reach. Susan stood and walked to the window, arms crossed over her stomach.
I don't like it here.
She said quietly.
Something's wrong here, David. Did you see how they looked at the kids?
They're just country folk.
He said, sighing.
It's the sticks.
No.
She said.
The way they looked at the kids, just stared with big, stupid grins.
David got up and wrapped his arms around Susan.
It's just your mama bear instincts kicking in.
He whispered.
We'll get the van fixed in the morning, fill up, and be on our way.
Outside in the middle of Dare Road, an old lady wheeled an empty toy stroller down the street. That night, Emma woke up, screaming.
Something was in here.
She sobbed.
It combed my hair with wet fingers.
Susan soothed her as David checked the hallway. Empty. Susan flicked on the light. Her trembling finger pointed. Emma's suitcase was unzipped and half open. He stood in the doorway listening. Nothing.
What do you think?
Susan asked. He shook his head, still trying to listen for anything.
David!
Keep your voice down,
He hissed, his own voice rising anyway. A rustle from the other bed. Noah blinked.
What are you guys fighting about?
Nothing.
Susan said quickly, pressing her palm to her belly.
Go back to sleep.
David softened.
Emma had a bad dream.
He cracked the door again. Quiet. Only the slow breathing of the building. He slid it shut and lay back, staring at the ceiling until the house went still again, and finally he drifted under. A couple of hours later, David jerked awake. Voices, low, murmuring, threaded up through the floorboards. He touched Susan's shoulder and pressed the brass room key Miss Lottie had given him into her hand.
I'm going to see what that is,
he whispered.
If it's me at the door, 2 knocks, and our password is tulip time. Don't open for anything else.
She nodded in the dark. He slid the pried bed slat from under the mattress and slipped out. Behind the diner, past the broken swings and rusted carousels, torchlight danced. As David crept along the cinder block wall, a tune floated out, thin and off-key, singing a lullaby.
Hush thee, hush, the well runs red. Mother drinks and mother's fed. Sleep, sweet seed, in water deep. Dare not wake, but dare to sleep.
A circle of townsfolk, white-haired men and women with veined hands and stooped shoulders, stood around a stone basin, slowly swaying side to side. Inside, water from the spring, thickened and dark. Miss Lottie stood in the center. She held a child's dress, Emma's yellow cotton sundress, the one with the daisy buttons, damp at the hem.
Tonight we preserve what was taken,
she said.
Tonight we sip her innocence and make it ours.
They passed ladles on long wooden handles bored straight through, like straws. One by one they pressed their mouths to the carved ends and drew the crimson shine up through the wood. They moaned as it slid down. One woman clutched her stomach and screamed, then laughed.
New blood.
A man whispered,
New life in her. The mother grows another. She'll feed the spring.
David didn't breathe. He crept back before they could see him, but he never forgot the sound of their moaning and the goddamn lullaby. A faded grandfather clock in the hallway chimed once, deep and slow. The hands read 3 a.m. On his way past the dark kitchen, he traded the bed slat for a long-handled meat fork dangling from a hook. Heavier, better reach. The pantry door downstairs didn't have a lock. David checked it because something thudded behind it, heavy and wet, like something that didn't want to stay put. He opened it, found another door. He went down. Shelves lined with jars, some filled with teeth, others with fingers, eyes floating in pale syrup.
Jesus fucking.
A crib sat in one corner, blackened with soot. On the wall, Polaroids, rows and rows of children, all smiling.
Dear God.
His own whisper made him jump. He heard a laugh behind him, a high-pitched giggle. He turned and saw no one. He slipped back upstairs, heart thudding, the meat fork still in his trembling hand. At the door, he tapped twice. Soft, deliberate.
Tulip time,
he whispered through the crack. The latch scraped. Susan let him in. He told her in a low rush what he'd seen. The circle, the dress, the way they drank.
They're a cult,
he said.
Or something. Worse. Look, we play it cool. As soon as the van's fixed, we're gone.
What if it isn't?
Susan whispered.
I'll call a cab.
What if there's no service?
Then we run,
he said, jaw tight.
God damn it, we run!
David stood guard until the windows began to gray. Miss Lottie served runny gray eggs. No toast.
How's the van?
David asked, trying to keep his voice calm. Lottie didn't look up.
Clem's got it in the garage. Told me the axle was cracked.
It was fine last night.
David fought to keep his voice and hands from snapping.
Was it?
She said finally, meeting his eyes with a smile that didn't match her eyes. Susan held Emma in her lap. Noah stared at his food, untouched.
The little ones can stretch their legs.
Lottie said brightly.
There's a play yard out back, swings and everything. Greta will watch 'em.
David moved to get up.
They'll be fine.
Lottie added, placing a bony hand on his forearm. Her grip was stronger than it looked.
Greta raised 7, knew what she was doing. I'll walk you folks over to Clem, and we'll see if that car of yours is feeling any better.
No, thank you.
David pulled his arm back.
They can come with us.
No. Let me go right to the source for you. You all relax. Sure, you have a long day of traveling ahead of you. I'll go see Clem right after I clear the table.
He lifted Emma off the chair, motioned for Noah to stick close, and went out to the yard. He stayed by the fence the whole time, watching the swing chains shiver, counting breaths. When Susan said she was going to run upstairs for the bathroom and to grab the kids' sweaters, he nodded without taking his eyes off the two of them.
1 minute,
he said.
Then we're all together again.
David kept his post by the fence. On the rickety wooden bench just beyond the play yard, Miss Greta sat small and straight as a pinned moth, ankles crossed. The skin at her calves was paper-thin, webbed with blue map lines. 2 thin needles clicked in and out between her fingers, sewing nothing at all, lifting and stabbing the air. Every few breaths, she licked her lips. Her eyes were milk-glossed but sharp, not looking at the children so much as measuring them. A thimble tapped her middle finger. Across the street, a sun-bleached basketball lay half-swallowed by a front lawn, rubber puckered and sunk like a drowning heart. Farther off, the schoolyard crouched under weeds. The swing chains were twisted into braids, and a seesaw sat cocked. Between the seesaw and the broken monkey bars, he noticed a set of concrete steps and a rusted railing that seemed to lead to nowhere at all. He glanced down at his phone, thumbed it awake, searching. From somewhere behind the classrooms came the slow, hopeless squeal of a hinge that never quite shut. He breathed, counted. 1 minute, he told himself. 2. He glanced at the diner. Still no Susan. He looked back to the bench. Greta was gone. Emma and Noah looked at him with the same far-away blink. He checked the hallway, the diner, the room upstairs. Outside, the kids sat on the splintered porch swing in front of the diner. Emma clutched her stuffed unicorn tight, its head flopping with each rock of the swing. Noah stared at the road, eyes glassy. Neither of them looked up when David passed. He crouched to their level.
Listen to me,
he said, voice low and steady.
You don't talk to anyone. If anybody comes near you, you scream as loud as you can. Got it?
Emma nodded. Noah swallowed and nodded once.
Good. I'll be right back.
Then he caught it, the faint scent of burning candles, sweet and rancid. It drifted farther down the street. He followed it past a row of houses until he came to one marked Greta in curling red letters. The blood-red door was cracked, and the paint was peeling. It stood open. He heard humming from inside. Miss Greta, milk-white hair over parchment skin, stood behind Susan, gently combing her hair. Candles lined the window sills. Animal bones hung from hooks on the ceiling. Susan sat in a high-backed chair, draped in a pale linen shift like a shroud. Her belly lay bare, the cloth drawn up, and upon her stomach red sigils coiled, glistening in the candlelight. One in particular, just below her navel, resembled a watchful eye, split down the middle by a vertical slash, as if something inside were trying to look out. The markings shimmered faintly, as if the paint hadn't dried, or as if it was still bleeding.
She's seen the truth now.
Miss Greta said without looking.
Knows what lives in the water. Knows what the spring can do.
Susan's eyes were glazed, unfocused, but peaceful.
They said the baby will live forever.
Susan whispered.
He'll never feel pain.
David stared at her. His eyes dropped to her hands, stained a faint, rusty red.
You drank it,
he said, voice low.
From the ladle.
Susan nodded slowly.
When I went upstairs to grab the kids' sweaters, Miss Lottie was there.
She murmured.
She and Clem brought me downstairs, past the pantry, into the room with the jars and the little crib. They told me I am a spring of life, and they sang to me. Oh, Dave. I only sipped, but it slid under my tongue like a prayer. I heard the precious children giggling. After that, I couldn't say no.
Her eyes rolled back until only milk white showed, and thin forks of red lightning cracked across them, veins spidering from the corners like claws. From outside, a voice screamed.
Dad!
The sound knifing through the walls. David drew back a fist for Greta, then pivoted toward the door instead.
Emma! Noah!
He darted out onto the porch.
God, no, no, no!
He cried. That's when they emerged, the townspeople. One by one they stepped from porches and crooked door frames. All of them past 60, some well into their 70s and 80s. Silver hair and liver-spotted hands, knuckles like walnuts, and the skin was too stretched, the smiles like wax left too long in the sun. They looked toward Greta's house with reverence. The screen door creaked open. Susan stepped out of Greta's house, her bare feet touching the dirt. The painted sigils shimmered in the sunlight. Greta followed close behind, one hand on Susan's shoulder like a handler guiding an offering. The crowd parted for them.
She's got youth in her,
whispered the mayor, an old barrel-chested man named Elbert.
Growing it right now, something fresh.
Miss Greta smiled and cupped Susan's cheek.
It's been years since we had one in the belly. You'll make this town sing again.
Susan said nothing, but her eyes didn't search for David. Her eyes were already looking at the diner. David couldn't move. He stood frozen on the street, watching the way the townsfolk looked at her, like she wasn't a person anymore. But she never looked at him, not once. He started forward, reaching for Susan. A fist caught the back of his shirt and yanked. Clem! Quick as he'd taken the keys, the old mechanic snatched him off balance and shoved him back, hard. David hit a porch post, breath gone. Clem's other hand came up from his front breast pocket with an ice-pick thin screwdriver, the tip blackened. He held it easy, like a man who'd used it for more than cars. David went still as the ring of faces closed. For a heartbeat, he couldn't feel his hands. Coats parted and handbags yawned. In the hush, the elders produced things that weren't quite weapons. A bone-handled awl, pruning shears honed to a mirror. The milk-blind gentleman lifted a length of piano wire stretched between two thread spools and pulled it taut. Mayor Elbert palmed a carpenter's mallet. Clem twirled his black-tip screwdriver like a conductor's baton. No one spoke. Only Miss Lottie grinning that small, patient smile as she set a meat hook fixed to broom handle against her shoulder and murmured, almost kindly,
Easy now, Daddy.
Dad,
Emma's voice cracked, high and desperate, from the direction of the diner. The sound snapped him loose.
Susan!
He choked, but he was already moving, bolting toward the porch swing in front of the diner where Emma and Noah sat. He scooped them up.
We're leaving.
They didn't resist. Emma's mouth trembled.
Mommy!
She whispered, then louder,
Mommy!
the word cracking in the wet air. David marched toward the road they came in on. The fog was gone now. Noah yanked against his grip, breath scraping fast.
We can't leave Mom.
He twisted hard, fingernails biting David's wrist.
Noah, look at me,
David said, dropping to a knee and pulling him in.
We're getting the police. Do you hear me? The police. Then we come back for Mom.
Noah's chest hitched. David hoisted him again.
Hold on to me.
Emma clung tighter to his sleeve. He turned a corner and stopped. The van was there, parked crooked by the curb.
Come on,
he whispered, urging the kids forward. As he opened the driver's side door, he caught a glimpse of greasy coveralls in his periphery. Wham! White-hot pain. Then blackness. He woke up on the floor of the room above the diner, head throbbing, blood on his collar. A black smear of fingerprints streaked his shirt. Clem? The door creaked. Susan stepped out of the bathroom. Her hair was damp. Her eyes were empty.
How did you get here?
David rasped.
Where are the kids?
Lottie washed me.
She said softly.
Said brides ought to be clean.
She didn't answer the second question. He staggered up and scanned the room. No Emma, no Noah. He grabbed his phone. No signal, just the spinning icon, searching.
Damn it.
He turned to her.
Shoes on. We're leaving.
She sat on the edge of the bed, looking at the floor. A glass on the nightstand wept a pink tear.
Susan?
Nothing.
Then stay,
he hissed.
But I'm getting them out.
He hauled the door open. Men and women in Sunday clothes just standing still. He pushed through them, down the damp stairs. No one stopped him. Outside, the air had thickened. He cut right toward Old Dare Road. A brick wall stood where the street had been. He backtracked. Another wall. Corners that didn't exist yesterday. The town folded like a paper fortune teller, changing flaps every time he chose. The sky throbbed orange. Back at the damn diner, he shoved up the steps, 2 at a time. The hallway was empty now. The door to their room opened and waiting. Susan had changed clothes. A lace dress, white gloves. Her hair curled tight in old-fashioned waves. David paced from wall to wall.
Susan.
He came in close and took her by the shoulders, not rough, but firm.
Look at me.
Her gaze slid past him like a fish under black water.
They want the baby,
he said, voice low and shaking.
Do you hear me? They'll sacrifice it. They don't love you. They love what's inside you. We're leaving. Right now.
Her lips moved, but she only spoke. Silence. David said,
Remember, Emma. Remember Noah. Remember me.
He tapped her wedding band with his finger. For an instant, something flickered in her eyes. Then it was gone. He blinked. Silence throbbed.
Where are the kids?
He asked. She blinked.
They're safe.
Where?
With the others.
They want you.
He hissed.
Because of the baby.
She didn't deny it. David moved toward the door. He cracked it open slowly. No one was there. The hallway was empty. He stepped out. He moved quietly, slipped outside into the yard. Across the street, the schoolyard crouched under weeds. Beside the broken seesaw, the set of concrete steps went nowhere. Just a mouth in the ground with the rusted railing. He remembered standing watch by the fence earlier. Those stairs leading to nowhere had needled him as wrong. Now there was a hatch propped open. He ran towards it. He took the stairs down into the dark. David found Noah in a cellar. He was tied to a chair, hands raw from pulling at the ropes, his mouth taped. David rushed forward and then saw it. On a nearby table, half buried beneath a folded robe, sat a knife. If you could call it that. The handle was carved bone, smooth and yellowed, notched with childlike drawings of suns and stick figures. The blade wasn't metal. It looked like glass or crystal, clouded and veined like old ice. It pulsed faintly as if it remembered heat. David didn't think. He grabbed it, saw his wild reflection warp along its jagged edge and began sawing at the ropes. Noah whimpered.
"I've got you,"
David whispered. He ripped the tape from Noah's mouth.
The waitress said I was too old.
David carried him out. They ran.
"Where's Emma?"
David panted. Noah tried to answer, but shock had him by the throat. He only shook and gulped at the air, eyes huge, breath scraping. The rain came down, sharp and cold, like the sky was tearing itself open. Wind howled through the trees, bending them sideways, flinging wet leaves like knives. Thunder cracked. Fog curled around their ankles like living thread. The trees leaned inward, closer than they had minutes before. Just before the town had thrown up brick walls, now it traded brick for bark. David pushed forward, Noah stumbling behind him, but every step led deeper in, not out. Something whispered from the dark.
David.
Noah gripped his hand.
"Don't listen. They lie."
Branches seemed to tear at them. Laughter echoed ahead. They passed a tree with Susan's scarf nailed to the bark, another with Emma's unicorn, impaled on a rusted spike. Above it, the words carved into the tree, "Energetic Emma." Roots buckled beneath their feet, trying to drag them under. David tripped into a pit of dolls and tiny shoes. Then a small clearing appeared through the low smog. Emma, at the spring that fed Dare Town. Veins of gnarled roots coiled around it. Red water bubbled thickly. Emma hung above the spring by a rope. In a white silk gown, her mouth sewn shut with black thread. The skin of her lips puckered and bleeding from the stitching. David screamed, rushed forward, cutting her free and pulling her out. Her skin was blistered, her eyes unfocused. Behind them, laughter. The chime of bells, the plastic rattle of tricycle wheels. He forced himself to be still for one breath and listen. Beneath rain and bells ran another sound, a thin thread of water slipping away from the spring. Water runs downhill. He thought,
"Follow the flow,"
he told Noah.
"Keep it on your left."
They shouldered through the trees, tracking the tiny stream as it thickened to a ditch. Power poles sagged in the same direction. The air changed, tar and creosote. The ditch plunged into a corrugated culvert about 3 feet in diameter.
"Go,"
David said. The culvert rang around them like a bell. They crawled on their knees, cold water licking their shins, until the round mouth opened on weeds and a 2-lane road. They scrambled up onto the gravel shoulder. A few yards ahead, the Chevy Venture sat crooked like it had been waiting there all along. David slapped his front pocket. Keys. He flung the driver's door open and twisted the ignition. The engine caught on the first try. Mercy or something else. A few miles down the road, a gas station buzzed under humming fluorescence. David filled the tank until the handle clicked. Inside, he grabbed a blister pack of nail clippers off a spinning rack and slapped down cash without meeting the clerk's eyes. Back in the van, he tore the plastic with his teeth and leaned over Emma in the back seat.
Does it hurt?
He asked. She shook her head, eyes huge. He slid the clipper under the black knot and snipped. The thread unzipped with a soft, horrible whisper. Her mouth trembled, but she made no sound. He went back inside and used the counterphone to dial 911. The dispatcher told him to remain calm and asked if he was safe.
Yes,
he said.
We're safe.
David hung up a few minutes later. The dispatcher was more confused than helpful, but said they were sending help. He thought of Susan. He thought of his child inside her. He fought the hysterical tears that were boiling behind his eyes. The old man behind the register winced and put up a finger.
"Excuse me for listening,"
he said, voice papery.
"But Dare Town ain't real, sir. Not anymore. That place and everyone in it disappeared back in '56. Yup, stories like that are true, 'cause I seen it myself. I swear on Mama's soul. Rained a week straight, it did. Last day, it rained blood over that godforsaken town. Folks said that cult got what they had coming. Vanished overnight. Trees took it back. Sir, Dare Town is long gone."
That next night, at a motel in Georgia, David bolted upright in bed. Silence rang in his ears. Emma's bed was empty. The bathroom light was on. The door closed. He pushed it open. Emma sat in the dry tub, fully clothed, head tilted sideways. She whispered.
"I miss you too."
The faucet began to leak, red. A voice unspooled from the faucet, thin as thread, old as well water. A woman's voice chanting through the metal.
"Hush thee, hush. The well is wide. Mother's mouth is iron-tied. Under floor and under door. Little feet will knock once more."
He ripped a hand towel, stuffed it into the faucet's mouth, then tied another around the stem to soak the leak. The cloth bloomed red, and the drip slowed to a pulse. On the fogged mirror above the sink, a small, wet handprint appeared. Days later, the green "Welcome to Connecticut" sign slid past in rain. The detectives hadn't called back. The voicemails said the same thing, still working it. Emma dozed, the seam of her lips brittle with dried blood. The GPS in the dash woke itself and began to whine. Its dead screen bled cold blue. One word pulsed, relocating. A red vein of route unspooled south and west until it ended on a red flag label. Dare Water Diener. ETA 3 a.m. The speaker was Susan's voice.
"Come back!"
The GPS chimed once more.
"Relocating,"
Susan said again.
"Bring the children."
David's hands locked on the wheel. Neon smeared the glass. Every letter bright, but 3 flickered D-I-E. The streets were spotless. The neon sign buzzed quietly over the diner. And beneath the floorboards, in a crib made from bone and wood, something kicked. A heartbeat. Not born, not dead, just waiting. Miss Lottie filled a glass from the spring. It shimmered. Outside, the wind rose. A female voice echoed.
Signal lost.
Headlights crept down the street. A car rolled to a stop in front of the diner. Bug-splattered windshield, out-of-state plates. A family of 5 stepped out. Mom, Dad, 3 kids. The littlest clutched a stuffed bunny. Miss Lottie stepped onto the porch. Her smile bloomed wide and crooked, stained with something dark and red.
Y'all just in time for supper,
She said.
3 kid menus?
Hush thee, hush, the blood rain sings. Mother drinks the years you bring. Under floor and under door. 2 taps, 1 child, 1 more. Cradle carved of stone and bone. Tears red water calls you home. Whispered names in iron rhyme. Drink and sleep, the well keeps time.
Thanks for watching. I hope you were scared to death. If your heart's still beating, like and share. And if you dare, subscribe for more delicious horror. We'll be waiting, right here in the dark.